Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Peter Vaihansky, Senior Vice President at DataArt, joins me to discuss the cloud space through the lens of COVID-19, as well as some growth trends and just how sustainable they are. Peter, it's great to see you. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
It's good to see you again.
Let's talk about the growth of cloud amidst the global pandemic and what have really been the drivers.
Sure. Well, first of all, we are observing some growth. Apparently, I came across a forecast, an updated forecast from Gartner, and based on that, it appears that they're adjusting their numbers upwards for the cloud spending for 2020 compared to the late 2019 prediction. We're seeing two big categories: infrastructure as a service and platform as a service combined, set to reach about $93.4 billion this year, which is a 5% increase from previous forecast for 2020 spending, which is interesting. And I think meaningful. Also interestingly, but not surprisingly, the largest, well, rather the fastest growing category of cloud spending is desktop as a service. Well, understandably, companies suddenly found themselves, having to set up hundreds, if not thousands of their employees to work from home productively, essentially overnight. The VDI, or virtual desktop infrastructure service, offered by the major cloud providers, was basically tailor-made for this sort of situation, and it delivered on the promise. So that spending is doubling in 2020 compared to 2019.
Peter, do you think that growth is sustainable?
We shall see. It's very difficult to be certain about, like, who said it? Einstein or somebody said predictions are hard, especially about the future. But what we are seeing, I think, is well illustrated by a recent survey that I came across. The survey was conducted by Snow Software, and they reached out to about 250 enterprise IT leaders around the world, and they asked them what's happening with their cloud spending and cloud initiatives during the times of the COVID pandemic. And what the responses indicate is quite interesting. So first of all, 4 out of 5 respondents are saying that they have increased their use of the cloud during the pandemic. 2 out of 3 are saying that even when their workforce is able to return home and we get back to some sort of normal, they are keeping those applications or services that they stood up during the crisis. So if not quite the last straw that broke the camel's back, it appears that the crisis has been sort of a tipping factor that accelerated the pre-existing trends and plans that the companies had to adopt the cloud. It seems as though, even though it may have been an acute response to a crisis situation, the increased use of cloud, and especially public cloud offered by the largest hyperscale providers like Azure, AWS, and Google, may be becoming a permanent fixture, so to speak, a permanent feature of these companies' new IT approach and IT estate.
It's really interesting when you talk about work from home trends. A number of technology experts such as yourself have been coming on and talking about how cloud and what we've learned with working from home is also helping to build more diverse workforces, because it opens up a much broader range of people that can participate in the workforce.
There's no doubt that that's in fact what's going on. And we touched upon VDI, right? Desktop as a service. Clearly, you have no prayer if you don't have this robust offering that luckily was there when we needed it. To set up work computers for thousands of your staff to be able to productively work from anywhere in the world as long as they have connectivity. And you can log into your work machine from any device, be it a laptop or a tablet, doesn't matter. And it's the same work machine and with the same software that you need to execute and function day to day. I mean, that's sort of self-explanatory. What's also interesting is that we're now on Zoom. Many of my colleagues, and sometimes including myself, spend most of their days on the video conferencing and collaboration tools like Zoom, like WebEx, like Teams. And the only way these offerings have been able to accommodate all this massive surge of incoming demand is by having been engineered for and hosted on a very robust public cloud infrastructure. We wouldn't have had a prayer without the cloud. So we have cloud to thank for the fact that we're able to speak and see each other and effectively collaborate. And I agree, this is, and I'm not being very original here, but obviously this has changed the way we collaborate probably forever. It is very clear that you can be extremely productive without needing to commute to the office. And even though face-to-face communication is still better, it can be good enough with these wonderful, sophisticated tools. So the combined growth in the utilization of those tools has undeniably fed the growth in cloud spending that we're observing in the market.
All right, Peter, great to have you with us as always. Thanks for joining me on Trade Talks.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.